People, it seems, don't know what a recession is, or they haven't experienced one, so they don't know the pain of it. This is something that's been revealed to me quite clearly over the last couple of years, because everybody seems to think that we're in a recession in Canada and that we've been in a recession in the U.S. and that this is recessionary times, and blaming the government for it. Under Biden, they created tons and tons of jobs. Under Justin Trudeau, we've had almost full employment, except for Alberta, which is, of course, run by the UCP, which are completely incompetent. But we have not been in a position of a recession. We've had strong growth throughout this period. We had to bring in more people because we had essentially a labor shortage in Canada, which has now been largely alleviated. And the government's turning it around. But people didn't know what a recession is. They think that we're in a recession. They don't know what a recession is. I remember the Black Monday, 1987. It was a Monday in October when the stock market crashed, and I was working for the Auto Trader at the time, and people were coming in to sell their cars to try and make up the loss that they had to pay back on their leveraged investments. And this was significant. I was in Alberta at the time. People couldn't afford to pay their rent. People couldn't afford to pay their mortgages. This was a significant recession that lasted a long time, and we knew it. We could see what was taking place. And it happened again. We were sort of kicked again in 1989. And these things do happen. They're significant. Back in 2008, 2009, it was felt, right? The recessions were felt. People understood that they could see the decline in employment, in sometimes wages, job opportunities. People lost their jobs, sometimes both members of, who were earning money in the family. And people lose their homes and things like that. We haven't had that in the last few years. It's been tight. It's been unpleasant because we've experienced a lot of inflation, and wages do not keep up ever with inflation. Inflation is one of those things that leads to bad governments getting in. But this has not been a recession. There have been generally growth in the last little while. However, that's all changing. That's all changing now. We're going to see ourselves getting into a serious recession, and maybe worse. If you're a company right now and you're looking at whether or not you can form a contract, first of all, with the government, right, with the U.S. government, you're sitting there thinking to yourself, well, I'll form a contract with them and they'll breach the agreement in weeks, or the contract we've already got, they're going to come in sometime in the next month and could cancel it. You have no idea, and there's no certainty. And that escalates down right through the economy. When there's a lack of certainty, people don't spend money. When people don't spend money, then the restaurants and coffee shops and clothing stores and things like that start to face the real crunch. And they lay some people off. They'll lay off a couple of people, and then those people can't pay their rent. And that's how it unfolds. And of course, it's happening quickly now because the U.S., first we have the general chill that happened the moment that Trump was elected. And I talk to people in the States regularly, and I've heard about it there. And of course, we're experiencing it in Canada as well, although it's not on the radar yet. But think of all of those next steps of it. They lay off all those employees. First, there's the chill. Then they lay off all those employees. They start breaching contracts. And so companies can't rely on that. Then we've got the tariff threat, just the threat, right? Which forces companies to try and figure out what to do. Buy a bunch of this stock now so you've got it, so you can continue to sell it at this price. Then look at, oh my gosh, we're going to have to raise our prices. What about our competitors? Are they going to raise their prices? Have they bought a bunch of stock? Do they have a pile of aluminum that they've purchased from Canada to make sure that they are a little bit cushioned as the tariffs come in? So there's the tariff reaction. Then there's the actual tariffs. If they come in as, who knows with Trump, I mean, he's a serial liar. You have no idea what he's actually going to do. None of it's rational or logical. It's just based on his assertion that he wants to get back at people, and it seems to do things to try and appease Putin. But that's the next step, is when they actually come in. And so all of this has this horrible effect on the economy. And yeah, we are going to be in a recession. You mark my word, when the stats come out in Canada, we'll know about it. The statistics from the States will be completely unreliable because the U.S. executive, Trump and Musk and Putin and J.D. Vance, will do everything to try and hide it, right? And to blame somebody else and try to blame whoever, Biden, whatever. They won't want those numbers to come out. They will have fired the people who calculate those things, but you'll feel it. You'll certainly feel it. And we can already see it in the housing market in Washington state and Florida and other jurisdictions already, because American government workers, some of them can't pay their rent. Some of them are going to move in with their parents. Some of them are going to move back home, and it's just going to collapse the economy in certain areas, and it's just going to be a cascading effect. So if you don't know what a recession feels like, you're going to get to feel one now. There is little that you could do at this point, although the South Koreans know how to handle it when a dictatorship tries to set up. It seems that the rest of the world isn't quite so courageous, and certainly we haven't seen we've seen a lot of protests, but not sort of the level of courage that's going to be needed to be able to deal with this.